Hi, I'm Damon Bonser, founder, CEO of the British Design Fund, and I'm joined today by Amarjit Pall of Boxxdocks. Lovely to see you, Amarjit. How are you?
All good. It's good to see you, sir, again, as usual.
So today, just talk a little bit about Boxxdocks, the team, find out a little bit more about you. A great way for our investors to see where their money's being deployed. And it's a good way to sort of share with the world all the good things that you're doing at Boxxdocks. So,
Sure.
so Amarjit, over to you, really. Do you want to tell us a little bit about you, the team, and how you all got together?
Okay. Well, yeah, be a pleasure to. Okay. So in terms of the team, there's three co-founders, myself and two others. Alessandro, who's a Italian, and Alessandro has had many years' experience in the corporate and business world. Initially trained as a lawyer, a corporate commercial lawyer, and then after that he got into logistics with me. We worked on a project in Italy together, on several projects in Italy. And then when that project came to an end, uh, I asked Alexander to come and join me in the UK, and he came to me to work on projects here in the UK. And then we decided to do Boxxdocks together. And then James came
Amarjit,
along.
and what's your background? So
Oh,
I know
okay.
you're a logistics guy as well.
Oh yeah, I'm old in the tooth. I'm getting near retirement age now. I'm a three times exit founder of logistics companies. I'm 57 now. I started working at 16, and I've never stopped in the logistics arena. And I, I, my background is, let's have a look. I invested in a company called City Sprint in the turn of the century and exited in 2010. And then I acquired a chauffeur company and I sold that to Addison Lee in 2012. So I've been in transport and logistics all my life, and James' background, he's the youngest of, we call him the 4-year-old. He's the youngest one of the pair of us, and he's an architect. He's studied to be an architect, and he does design and automated manufacturing processes. James, he looks after project design and management of what we want to do. So I'll come up with a harebrained scheme, and he has to go and find the tech way of making it work. In terms of how the product came about, it was all during lockdown. We were talking extensively in lockdown, me and Alessandro, and saying, like, when we come out of this, we're going to have to do something. We can't just sit on our laurels. We want to do something. We're entrepreneurs. We really liked working with each other in Italy, and we wanted to do something here in the UK. And back in, when I was 20, I used to deliver pharmaceutical boxes, and I always questioned why they only had one size of box. And I would have to load a van up with 140 tote boxes, and then I find out at the end I could only put 120 in there. And then when I was looking at the other 20 odd boxes that were sitting on the floor, they were half empty, and I always wondered, why can't they just fold? Why have we not done? Why can't they just collapse? And then they said, we haven't. We've got a smaller box. So I'd have to take out contents in a full box and put it into half a box. And I just wasted loads of time. And I said, why can't I have a box that just collapses or folds from full to half? Why isn't there one? And the simple question was, no one's done it.
And for those that are less familiar, right? So the majority of people probably watching this, aren't necessarily familiar with logistics operations, distribution centers, and the image of conveyor belts whizzing by with pickers and packers throwing things in. So the problem currently, without Boxxdocks coming into the market, is that the picker and packer right at the start line has a choice between maybe a couple of different sizes, but they have no idea maybe how big the job is, and they go for the big box because they don't want to overfill a small one effectively.
But you're essentially right. Yes. Most of the warehouse distribution supply chain, it's all automated. It works to a degree. The boxes get full, they get the lid put on, and then they go into the van. I think where the problem is when it's hand-picked. When it's hand-picked, you've got a hand picker only picking up a small selection of items and puts them in a box. And at that point, they've got to make a decision. Is it a full-size box or a half-size box? And it's easier for the warehouse and the staff just to have one box. It's easier to manage. And they just put 2 items in a full-size box, and that just takes so much space up in a van. And
well, and obviously the carbon footprint, which is, not just it's not just a kind of CSR ESG tick in the box. It actually hits bottom line for these companies. It costs them more to ship air around, and it's bad for all of us to be supporting such things. So for people that are not familiar with Boxxdocks, then do you want to just introduce the kind of concept? So you had the kind of you've known about this problem for a while. The team got together. Just in a nutshell, what is it that Boxxdocks is looking to bring through to market, like what you can share with the audience at the moment?
Well, what we want to do, we want, I think, the actual supply chain where the driver's involved, his or her life is made difficult by them not being supported by technology or even a better way of loading their vehicles. They've never that end of the supply chain. They leave the driver to it. It's like, there's 140 boxes. You go and deal with it. You pack your van as efficiently as you can, and get out there as quick as possible. And as you rightly said, if they've got too many boxes and they're filling in a van, it's overloaded. That's what's the word I'm looking for now? I think
it's inefficient. It's just isn't it?
Yes, yeah, you're right. It's inefficient, and it's a waste of fuel and a waste of time. And so we're looking at a way of making the tote box collapsible, and then also we want to be able to add technology to the box, so we know where it's gone. We want to know how far has that box traveled, where is it, right, and what's its carbon footprint. And if we can start measuring these and monitoring this, we can help our customers identify where their boxes are, how many boxes they've got in their supply chain, and when they need to put more boxes into their network, because they lose these boxes. These boxes end up in these plastic tote boxes end up in people's garages, because they're an asset to the company, but they're not tracked or monitored or controlled.
The majority of the boxes out there at the moment, whizzing up and down conveyor belts and sitting in the back of delivery and courier vans, they're fairly dumb, are they? Let's say they're not trackable, they're not traceable. There's not really tech integrated into them. They're just a crude way of storing the product.
You're right. There's been no tech designed around to make it work. So what we're going to bring to the market is a box that's fully trackable, foldable, and manage the customer's supply chain, manage the supply chain in terms of monitoring where the box is, give them data-driven solution, so they can monitor where the box is, look at its carbon footprint, and look at their inventory, because they waste a lot of money. At one point, one of our customers, they believe they're replacing their tote box inventory by 20% a year, which is a complete waste.
It's crazy.
So
and then talking about customers, then we know you've had quite a sort of phenomenal reaction to the prototype and the product at the stage it is at the moment. Do you want to talk about some of those, like what's the profile of some of those early customers? So if we look sort of through, we're in 2023 now, sort of mid 23, so tail end of 23 going into 24, like what's your sort of beachhead market? What's the profile of some of those customers? Whose problem are you going to be solving initially?
Well, purely because of my background, we're going for the pharmaceutical sector. That's where I started. That's where I noticed that there's an issue. There's an issue here. And first of all, am I solving a problem that's being asked of me? Right. And when you speak to these operators, they do struggle with finding a solution. It's like you called it, a plastic dumb box. It sits there and they had no value to it. So I've engaged with these pharmaceutical companies, and they're interested. Obviously, for the custody supply chain they've got is pharmaceuticals. They've got to know where these boxes are, and they've got to have some kind of security on them. We're going to bring to market a box that's foldable, that you can measure the carbon footprint and security measures on it with our dashboard, with the technology links to a dashboard, and we'll be able to see where that box has been and how many times it's been opened. So we're keen to bring that to market. But the real first focus was on the emissions. But as we've spoken to customers, they've now asked a few more questions, and our technology, hopefully, once we get it past pilot stage, it will answer those questions for them. You can imagine there's 5 million boxes 5 billion plastic boxes out there. We can't have the whole market, but we're going to enter the pharmaceutical market, and then that could go on to the NHS in terms of they take pathology movement. There's no control or custody over the movement of blood. It's crazy to see you'll have 5 packets of blood. They'll just put it in a plastic bag. There is no control or monitoring of that bag and the contents of that bag and where it's been and who's had access to it. Our technology will allow that to happen.
Yeah, that's great. And it's a really interesting team. We noticed that when you came and pitched, there's a really, you're 3 very different people. 2 of you sort of, connected through logistics, but you're 3 very different people that bring 3 very different things to play, and we really like that. You've got strong engineering, you've got strong commercial, and you've got strong experience of exiting, which is unusual. A lot of our founders don't have that. I suppose sort of one of my last questions maybe is kind of from your previous experiences of building businesses up from taking investment positions and building them up to exit. What's kind of and again, the reason I'm asking this is a big part of what we bring along with the cash is, as the mentoring, the expertise and experience that we put into the resource we put into businesses alongside the cash. But you're a phenomenally well-experienced entrepreneur yourself. So what do you think some of the sort of most important lessons you've learned from your previous ventures that you're bringing now into Boxxdocks?
I think answer the question that's been asked of you. Like we think we've got the next great big idea, but if no one's asking you that there's this problem to be solved, you're wasting your time. Just focus on what the customer wants. Yeah,
look, that is class. That is, I'm sure I said it on some of these videos in the past before. It's classic design thinking. It's user centric. It's don't create a solution and try. Don't create a solution and try and find a problem. Do it the other way around. Well, no, really interesting. Okay, and so what can we kind of expect from you and the team for the rest of 2023 then, sort of for the next 6 months?
Well, we're engaging with customers and they are now pushing the envelope with us to the hardware we've got solved. We've given them a box, it's foldable, but we need to start offering solutions with software and the data. They really want to manage their data. They really want to know stock control, inventory control. They really want to be able to save money on not wasting money on ordering more boxes when they don't need them. And they really want to track these boxes. So for us, we've got over the summer, we're going to focus heavily on our software, and that might bring design changes to the boxes, and that's where we might lean on you guys to start. Because we're not experts in designing boxes. We just got an idea on how the box should work. Yeah. But leaning on people who know what they're doing in the design stage, we'll be keen to look at that.
Yeah, great. Well, Amarjit, look, we're very excited to be on this journey with you. It's going to be a fun journey, and I think you're the first of our portfolio to be sort of playing straight into the logistics space. I don't think we have any others in that sector, so I'm sure we will learn a fair bit as well. But yeah, really good to be along the ride with you, Amarjit. Thanks for your time.
I appreciate your support. Thanks very much.